to get to here in a little while. So for the sake of time and argument, I will go ahead and call this special call committee of the whole meeting to order. Thank everybody for being here with us tonight. As we left off last week's committee of the whole meeting, there were a lot of changes at the end that we needed a little more information from. So that is the idea behind this meeting. So that we'll have some time to mull over what's discussed here. So I'll ask for the Vice Chairman, if you would, to please open us in the invocation and the pledge.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this day. Thank you for the many blessings that you give us here in Pickens County, and there's so many things that we take for granted. We want to pray for our leaders, pray for our staff, pray for our first responders, especially in the loss of a first responder this week, and for their family as they go through everything they have to. Keep your hand upon them. We asked for wisdom, guidance in everything that we do, that we put you first in all of our decisions. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So I do believe the first, I do apologize. I believe the first thing that we discussed coming back and discussing was around the area that directly affected Ms. Linville and Councilwoman Linville and Councilman Lawless's district. Any discussion or thoughts following the conversation last week there? Mr. Chair. Yes, sir.
I would like to make a motion to remove Gateway from the areas around Central and District 2 and make that natural heritage area for several reasons. After looking at Central's zoning and density numbers, we actually are denser than them on a few things. And concerning the sewer in that part of the county, we still don't know how much capacity we have or don't have, and I think it'd be irresponsible for us to put that much density in there, not knowing if we have sewer. And I would hope that the city would follow suit and not do that.
So I have a motion to remove the gateway from the District 2 area there at Clemson and change that to the natural heritage area.
At Central, you mean?
Yes, what I say.
Clemson.
I do apologize, Central, my apologies. I do have a motion. Do I have a second for that?
Second.
Second discussion on that.
In general, I am hesitant to get rid of any gateway area because we have so few, and it's one of the only places where we can truly get some of the density we talked about needing for several reasons. And we are currently under a study that Clemson came and presented that is working on capacity, wastewater, and expansion for Clemson Central Liberty. So I think that wastewater will be coming as already been planned for. So to me, if the reduction needs to be in density, I'd rather go from gateway to community center. If Mr. Lawless finds it very important to reduce density, but I really would like to keep one of those two shades of green because it is an identified area where we need more housing.
Councilman Sandy.
What happened was with the last map, I kind of ran into the same problem. I was not able to really see what was what because it was basically the same color, just different shades. So I have something similar in my area, so I'm going to make a substitute motion to add what he said, plus the gateway community areas in my area around Pickens, and change them to, what is it they're called, the natural heritage area? Yes, I'm going to make a substitute motion and do his and mine as well, and I would suggest that everybody do the same, and we all just vote on the changes at once. That's my substitute motion.
So I have a substitute motion on the table. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Lawless.
Can I explain why I did that?
Absolutely.
Okay. When you look at the north section of Pickens, it's in a community area. It borders the city that is surrounded by R12. And R12 means the minimum lot size is 12,000. So the way that the map is now with the community area in north of Pickens, our area is twice as dense as what the city will allow in homes. The second thing is the city zones. They only allow, R12 means residential single-family houses only. They don't allow townhomes, they don't allow apartments, they don't allow duplexes. So if we keep a community, we're gonna do two things. One is we're gonna make it twice as dense in the county, and then broaden it out from residential to all these other things. Well, I'll live with that because that's the way the DSO is. But the density is just too high. You know, for example, I mean, just think about how dense the DSO has gotten when it comes to gateway and community areas. Right now under the DSO, 10 acres you can build 40 townhomes. In the community zone, on 10 acres you can build 140 townhomes. In the gateway you can build 160 townhomes. That's 4 times as dense. And that's just, you know, to add that type of housing to that area where the city doesn't allow it, and then all that density, not only townhomes, but apartments, and then the house is just too much for what the people want up there. That's the reason why my motion is to eliminate the community and gateway areas around Pickens and make them heritage. And it would match the rest of the map. You can see it's all that way.
Can I ask you a question, Mr. Sager?
Sure.
You said that the entire city of Pickens only allows.
No, I didn't say that. I said the northern part of Pickens right there.
So the part touching the light green.
Yeah, like if you look at the map, for Pickens, our community area is bounded on the south by R12 and on the east by R12. On the north, it's bounded by Pickens High School, which is business, so that doesn't count. And on the south side, it's bounded by R12. The city density really is not until you get into town. You know, RM8 is anybody know Sparks Lane? It's called the Ridgeview apartment complex. That's RM8, meaning 8 apartments per acre.
Right.
RM16 means 16 apartments per acre. That's by Walmart, which is the new apartments built just above the Walmart.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
So it was surprising. You look at most of this map, you'll see this is Pickens here. And you can see from there, most of it's brown, which is business, and most of it's blue, which is R12. So, you know, we're really about an R6 at 5,000, right? Because you have 5,000 would be an R5, 20% open space would make it about an R6, 6.4. Now, against an R12, it's too dense. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Other discussion.
I've got a question for the staff folks. When you guys went, Trad, I said, oh no. When you guys did your evaluation, did you guys, I mean, you didn't do a comparison to what was just parallel to it in the cities? Did you guys look at the cities at all?
We did look at the cities, but we did not match them to the cities, mainly because on all of those borders, there's a different zoning district, so that would create a bunch of little holes of what is and isn't allowed around them.
Gotcha. So you guys.
But as far as the areas for the map, that again came from the matrix data, which did take into account proximity to municipality, but not their zoning regulations.
Okay, right. And you don't have any impact over that, so you guys basically took what we had previously and just attempted to either quantify it or improve it.
Right. That's correct.
Mr. Chairman. Vice Chairman.
Would it not make more sense to change, if you don't like the definition that's in there, and you're saying you think everybody should just limit it all to be all the 1 or 2 colors, would it not make more sense just to change what you're wanting to have accomplished in the community area versus, like, for example, and I apologize, all right, so I have to start doing the math thing here again. If you're talking about townhomes or apartments, you know, you could limit those within those areas. As if I'm just asking the question. That may be a bad idea, because one of the things that I do like the idea of is when we're talking about in some of those areas. Yeah, I got to thinking about the townhomes and how many townhomes per maximum per acre, and how many townhomes maximum per acre is it now for the gateway?
It's 16. No, it's 20.
20 townhomes
20.
per acre.
So would it make sense to say, I'd like that to be 16?
Well, but she may want something really dense in her area. You know, she may want the gateway and community and just, we'd be taking that away from her.
Okay.
So what I like about your 5, and believe me, I'm supporting your 5 things, you give a lot of flexibility. You got 2 areas with the farming and the Appalachian, which is very low density. You have 2 very high density as the, what do they call, gateway and community. And then you got middle of the road, which is heritage. Like what I also did too is I looked at the subdivided areas around that green area. And what did they subdivide down to? They subdivide down to typically a half to 3/4. Now we're gonna allow subdivision down to 5,000 square feet, would be 1/8 of an acre, that's too much. So, you know, when people subdivide, you want them to subdivide down to roughly what's around them already. That's why I was figuring a half acre. Trust me, I want a full acre, because I'm against all this development. But I think what's fair and uniform would be, you know, subdivide down to what's around them that's been subdivided already. Does that make sense? Like on Highway 11, what's been subdivided has been subdivided down from 2 to 5 acres. That's why 2 acres makes sense. I mean, there's 100-acre tracts up there. I mean, still, you wouldn't say minimum 100 acres.
Right.
So what they subdivide down to is probably a good benchmark.
So I actually do remember we talked, and you brought up a great point, because we did talk in great detail a couple different times. I understand you can't, you know, look at everything. You'll end up with little pockets here and there, and I understand what you're saying. But to me, it doesn't make sense to allow something denser than what our municipalities are already allowing. And I can remember the night we had the conversation, because that was literally the math that was done, was saying, well, you can put more in than what the municipality will allow. Now, one would argue that could stop annexation, but the density is the truer issue here. And I do look at the gateway area at the Anderson line between 153 and Highway 8, that part of Easley, that southeast portion of Easley, and I do question some of the densities with the gateway there. I do know that's an area that a hot topic in debate, but do you know right off what the gateway compares to what the municipality already allows in that area?
I do not know, based on the City of Easley zoning map, what zoning district is right there against it. We can look that up.
Cities can also change their zoning at any time.
They can. And people can go for variance, and there are all kinds of options on the table for zoning and for what we're voting on. There's things in place for that.
Yeah, we do know the general minimums of what is allowed as density for the City of Easley. Their chart is a little difficult to read. We all had some issues with that one, but they do go as small as 4,000 square foot lots.
Anna Circle, Anna Gray Circle is like about 4,000. They're like 40 by about 120.
Where's that?
City Easley, right? Yeah.
Where?
Anna Gray Circle, which is off of, I think it's off of Olive. I looked at those lots.
You know,
They're about 40 wide, and they're about 100 to 120 deep.
I'm not familiar with that name. That's a new one? A new subdivision?
Yeah, that's 5,000.
Okay.
I have a question about the substantive motion. You were suggesting we do all map changes in your substantive motion?
No, whatever he just said, add it to mine, and I just want to take what's in the Pickens area, the gateway, and the community. There's only 2 areas, and they're very small, to convert them to heritage.
Okay.
If anybody else wants to make changes, I'd put them all together as one.
That was my question. I'd like to propose a map change, so I'm wondering if I should say that as a separate motion or.
Make it a substantive motion, just include that too.
Okay. I would like to make a substantive motion to take the area north of the city of Clemson and east of 123 up to 18 Mile Road and change that to Gateway. You can see there's already an island of Clemson because that's what has been annexed as the first phase of the Grange development. I just feel through conversations I've had with the city, with the developer, with the direction that Clemson is expanding, that there is capacity for growth there. So I want to give that area, the ability to have the townhomes and apartments as allocated in the gateway. Right now, it's natural heritage, so I'm doing the opposite of Seda and Mr. Seda and Mr. Lawless on this, and asking a blue to turn dark green.
Do I have a second?
For discussion, yeah.
Okay.
Now, whose district is that? Your district is yours?
It's mine.
Okay. You feel, like, obviously you're very comfortable with that.
I talked with the stakeholders that are most involved, and yes, I feel comfortable with that. And I will say one concern I had was if there's great density, would there be any attempt to get a cut through under 123, which I think most of us would not like, and I've been assured that the developers don't want that, and SCDOT has said they won't get one. So even if we do increase density, I don't expect that to impact 123. 123 wouldn't get a cutout or anything, even if that density increased. That's what I've been told.
I mean, you're fully aware how dense that is.
Yes, but I also don't think, I mean, I've seen some of the plans that developers have for there. It's not like, I mean, people still want single family homes. So, I mean, capitalism has a role there too. Just because you say this could all be townhouses, someone's not going to go in and put in all those townhouses.
Yeah, you're right.
I think, and right now the development that's already started are some pretty attractive looking single family homes. And they're leaving a whole bunch of open space in the back. There's going to be a lot of forestry. They're working with the city on it. Most of it's a planned development anyway. I'm not trying to do this just for that one developer, but it's an interesting example of what it would really like to put county density next to a city. And I think it gives us a chance to potentially avoid annexation, which I keep hearing this council does not want, is by if you do allow some county density, we may actually keep that in the county. I don't know. City of Clemson probably wants it. I don't know what the utility is going to work out. I have no idea where wastewater is going to go. There's a lot that still needs to be discussed in that development. But I think that is the exact potential of what we talked about at the beginning of this UDSO, which was let's put some density right next to the cities. And that's our densest city, and that's a capacity, and it's on 123, and I just feel like that's an area where nothing else, we could test it out.
It's very dense. I mean, I'll give you an example. Just as an example, 100 acres on Sheriff Mill Road. Okay, the city was going to put in 275 to 300 homes. People were upset.
Right.
Now, the same 100 acres in the Gateway, in an apartment complex, 2,200 units.
Did you account for the open space requirement?
Yeah, I mean, you take 100 acres, 20% goes away, that's 80 acres. You've got to build roads, curb and gutter, and sewer. A third of that goes away. 2/3 left, 55 acres. 55 acres times 40. That's 2,200 units.
Yeah,
I mean, that is off the charts on
Right.
steroids.
there's a 515 unit apartment complex going in Central right off of 123.
Yeah, nobody's going to build 100 acres there, 'cause it's
Right,
not
right.
100 acres, it's just a unit.
Right.
You know, it would be 10 acres, it would be 220.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like I said, I don't, if that's what you want in your area, I'll actually vote for it.
It was actually told to me that the city of Clemson is expected to double in size in 4 years. Like we are, the growth, like it's coming, and people need somewhere to live, and wouldn't you rather them live there than elsewhere in the county?
That's a good point.
Any other discussion on that? If not, I've got another substitute motion while I thought about it. I'd like to make a substitute motion to adopt the first, second, and third substitute motion, and then include everything between 8 and 153 south of 93 on the map, to do away with the gateway area and make it what is gateway, make it community center area. That is my motion. Do I have the second?
I'll second that.
All right, and I'm going to share my reasoning and thought behind it. First is this is a living, breathing document. If I haven't said it,
All the dark, including this.
those little dark green islands,
Everything dark green in this.
the little dark green islands there, yeah,
You're turning the dark green to light green.
that's correct. It's a living, breathing document. it's easier to add than it is to take away.
Yes.
So I think that it's more in line. Also with all the conversation about, allowing greater density than what the municipalities do, that's the opportunity area to do that, and that's something that I've heard loud and clear, that's not what we want. But it also does not hamper any development. It does still allow for the development of the area, just not at the extreme, or the not extreme, but the higher rate of density is my thought behind it. And it can always be changed because it's a living, breathing document. Dr. Wilson.
No, we'll finish yours. I'd like to add to that. But can you zoom the map in on the screen thing? Yeah, I'll second it.
Mr. Chairman, could we have a clarification with what you're talking about for Ms.
Please, I said 8 to 153, south of 93. If it is labeled gateway area, I'd like to change it to community center area.
Just making sure.
I gave you like hard landmarks. All
Got it.
right, Dr. Wilson, I'm sorry. We good?
So we're doing this substantive additions.
Yeah.
All right, so all the present provisions. And I would propose that for, because honestly, I thought that you guys had baselined all the space adjoining it, right? So that complicates a little bit of the discussion associated with the green area there that is principally in my district. And if you're looking at the lime green, north of 93 over to 135, that's lime green, I guess. That area is in my district, and I looked at the principal, we'll call the leading subdivisions in the area. You know, Heathwood is an older style subdivision, but the acreage is about 1 acre, and they're tucked into the woods without clear cutting. If you look at a few of the other, I would say traditional neighborhoods, the lot sizes are larger on scale, and there's been no dissuasion of growth and opportunity and development at the larger size. So until we're able, since you said it's a leading document, I would like to change that swath there of green from the east of 135, north of 93, to the natural heritage area.
Could you point to it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So half acre with 40% open space.
That's right. So from here, this section is mine. The rest of it, I think, is yours, Chris. I mean, it goes over to the Burnt Springs area where we turned it from dark green already, right? But if you look at Burnt Springs is predominantly larger lot sizes. And if you look at some of the older neighborhoods through there, and even some of the newer things that have been built, they're pretty significant. Right at the end of 153, there's sort of not hobby farm, but it kind of has a hobby farm feel with the fencing all around it. Those are 3/4 of an acre lot sizes. So if you go from here to here, I think it follows in line with the type of development we're going to have here. Let's be blunt. Just by proximity to the city, regardless of what we do, most likely annexation pressures, because you're going to want garbage pickup and other things. And if you look at like which one Matt kept saying, he's paying like $1.75 a year and he gets garbage pickup. I mean, I'm paying like $150 a month just for a dumpster on our farm. So there's going to be pressures for annexation. So for the interim, until we're able to kind of blend it with what's going on in the city versus just our county look that we did, I'd like to make this section the light blue. And I'm open, Chris, because the other areas that are outside of my district, I'm open to listening to proposals for the similar in other areas. So from 135 over in District 6.
I'll second that, I'm sorry. Discussion on that. Any other substantive motions?
Mr. Chairman,
Vice Chairman.
so, can you go to Liberty?
So truthfully, you pick up where he drops off, right? you pick up where he drops off. Go ahead.
Yeah, but, I mean,
No, go ahead.
yeah, I do, well, just not the whole thing, though, right?
You pick up at Alice Mill Hill.
Yeah.
And then, scooch up 8. And then, and you're just south of Cedar Rock, which is principally my area.
Okay.
We're back to Matt.
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you, Vanna.
I'll be doing this for another 75 years. All right, so looking at your space, I'm south of here, right? The Cedar Rock district where Montague Lakes and all that are coming off of 135 to the left. I'm principally northern up towards 183. And you've got a southern section of that portion of it, and then this area over near Alice.
Right.
Right, so this space, we've had discussions, and I'm open to hearing what you say. Because Alice is there's the big road, and then there's utilities associated with it, right? That's why I was amenable to it. But again, it's not in my space, so I'm open to be flexible how you would like to do it. But as there's a lot of open area over here with access to sewer.
So the other space that is contiguous with yours, though, I think needs to match with that natural heritage.
I mean, what you see here, it's not matching natural heritage. It's matching. I mean, this is one level above. This is 1 acre for a lot. So if you're going to match it with the light blue, I mean, you're talking about half-acre lots over there, right?
Natural heritage, half-acre.
Chris, how big is the
40% open space subdivision?
Chris, how big is your lot? The rental properties you have over on Area Mill? What are they? They're typically what? 60 to 75% of an acre.
Yeah.
Surrounding. Okay. And those are about the most walkable neighborhoods ever existed, right? I guess most folks have cars when they built them.
Everybody walked to work at the mill.
Right. So, I mean, the mill lots don't exactly feel overly congested, but it'd be hard to have a garden of any size in it, right? It's not necessarily what you're looking for, near the Clemson area. And let's be blunt, right? They're going to annex. So, I mean, it's going to happen, right? So, if they're going to increase like you're talking about, I mean, Chris, you're going to be running against a Democrat next time around, guaranteed, right? If they're going to grow that much in 4 years. So, ultimately,
I think it needs to match what you did though, because what you did on so you're talking about going to the agricultural heritage.
I went to the light blue.
That's what I said.
Light blue is about natural.
Natural. And that's what it needs to match as it goes across there.
Okay. And I'm not going to use that because the space of the boundaries right here. I mean, a half-acre home is going to look all hat, no horse, right? Out in a space like that. So.
Oh, that's my motion.
Could you point to that area?
Did you make a motion?
Yeah, I was trying to.
I can't remember exactly how those are hands. So this space is what you're talking about?
Yeah, that space right there.
The northern portion of it above 8?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll second that.
I just want to make a general discussion point, which is, I understand what everybody's doing. It's very hard to put density to put a higher density in your area because there's a general anti-density feeling coming out. But the only way the UDSO works in totality is if there is density in some places. We have just made more than half the county less dense than it was before. There used to be 1 acre lots here. We turned more than half the county into 2 acre lots. A bunch of it, even where there's 1 acre lots, we're now requiring huge percentages of open space. So we have collectively, for most of the county, lowered the number of houses that can go on here. The only way this works on balance is if the houses can go somewhere. That's math. So in all of these substantive motions, I understand everyone's protecting their constituents. I get it. But when we made this into silos, we lost the big picture, which is you have to build homes somewhere, except for those of you who have consistently said you want homes nowhere. At least I know how you're going to vote. But if we keep pinching, the math doesn't work. You're just added, you're back to sprawl. You're back to everybody then building all the houses around here and commuting into Pickens County and giving us nothing from living here, or constant annexation. So I appreciate what everyone's trying to do. I know you're getting pressures from groups, but we've killed the forest for the trees. Bad analogy here. We have messed up the math, really.
See, I disagree with you on that. I mean, from 2008 to 2013, we probably did build one subdivision in this whole county. Probably not one of them. 5 years, I would bet. I know in my district there wasn't one built. And the county actually saved money when you look at the audits. The cash balances went up. So that's the math.
Or the math, I mean, like, of the number of people who are moving here and need a home.
Oh, okay, that's different.
Yeah, no, I just mean like,
Math, I mean,
the people need somewhere to go. And they're coming here, and if you don't give them places to go, well, first of all, the value of everybody's house goes up, so we price out middle and lower classes. And then and then they start buying all around us and commuting in, we've created more sprawl.
like if somebody buys like an individual lot, let's say, what are the rules on that? What could they build? Like if they're on public water and sewer, what could they build? How small the house could they build?
5,000 square feet.
So if somebody buys a piece of land, it's one house, and it's on water and sewer, they can build a house on 1/8 of an acre. Right?
Anywhere in town, yeah.
So that's not gonna change. And then if they're on septic, what is it?
Half acre.
I mean, yeah, I know nobody can change what they're trying to do. I just wanted to remind everybody that this was supposed to all work together. And as you carve out all the density, it's no longer a collectively working document.
So my only, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, my only comment to that is, Heathwood's a very livable neighborhood. And it's almost an acre a lot. You know, it's 0.9 to 1.1 or whatnot. And there's two different characters there, right? There's a little bit more open on one side of the road, and one's like packed in the hills with the trees or whatever still there. And a lot of the folks were talking about wanting that type of a development where you didn't just clear cut and rebuild, and those guys clearly did that back when they could have done anything they wanted to do. If you're going down Slurdam Road, a lot of the neighborhoods there that have been there for longer than 10 years are right around an acre. You know, they're 3/4 to an acre. We're talking about the minimum lot size is half. So part of the character of the land that we talked about having you guys evaluate was what's it close to. There have been some developments in the recent years that were built that were more dense, and their livability certainly is, you know, was affected by the fact that they're more congested. And it's a different style of developmental approach, right? Dr. Lee is here. You can see it down in your backyard over there, right? One of the properties I'm talking about that was recently built. And so for me, the annexation is something we have absolutely no control over unless we can work some sort of a relationship with the cities, and we can go to the countywide planning commission. You know, we're not going to control over a lot of the things that are going to happen. We're not going to control their influences. I mean, certainly, you know, there's momentum in your area, but the growth in Easley is going to be similar. I would rather bump this up and have to find ways to maybe work with people to get it smaller over time, and double down on the idea that we need to work together as a whole county and go and develop that relationship. So I guess what I'm saying is I would rather cover my hand here, and then we go talk to the cities about being more reasonable in the way they approach growth overall. Because we're going to have to be a major partner with all the cities with regards to sewer and other issues. So if they take it, that's on them, because they have the ability to annex it. You know, Roy, you've got one of the most prominent positions in the state right now with regards to county government, being able to represent these issues to the State House and to the Senate, right? You know, clearly you guys are in the process of doing that. Maybe we roll back the annexation so we have a voice in it. But in Pickens County, I think the best is for your ask them to cease and desist for 180 days like we did, and then we look at doing countywide planning. And countywide planning is something people have been talking about for quite a long time. I think that's the solution to driving down some of the risk factors. And then I don't want to send these guys back to go do the map again. That's for my district. And keep in mind, right? We did the overdevelopment risk areas, which is still something that would be part of the process. And I told you guys, you know, I'm with you for your area, right? For my area right here, half acre is not asking a lot of the neighborhoods that have already been put there over the years. So, I mean, predominantly 1 acre would probably be, you know, would be good for most of that space. But half acre is not being unreasonable. That allows a lot of density that's not there now. So that's why I'm supportive of that piece.
Vice Chair. Couple things. One is that I did hear that DHEC is looking at changing their rules on the half acre and actually going up to an acre. They're considering that. Instead of the 5,000 square foot minimum, it would be a half acre minimum.
For for septic?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's half acre maybe now.
Yeah, they're exploring the possibility of making that an acre. The other is, I want to remind everyone, to me, our whole intent on this wasn't to increase density. It wasn't to encourage development. Our whole point in doing this was to stop the clear cutting, 100 acres, 500 houses, whatever it is, but we're just loading them in as fast as we can. Mr. Sada makes a good point. I think that people can still go buy a house, build whatever you want to, half acre right now, wherever it is. Our intent, when we started this, was how do we manage the growth that's happening? And the best way that we could see to do that was to stop the big developers from coming in to do what they've been doing. I love the thought that this is, and Dr. Wilson says it, and Mr. Chairman, you talk about this too, that this is a living, breathing document, is something we can consider as we go through the process. Yeah, I'm for being as restrictive as possible, and then if we see the need to pull back the reins based on the existing infrastructure and the ability to people to move about where they want to and live in the areas that they want to. I'm very familiar with Heathwood. And that's been there, that subdivision's been there for a very long time. But you're right, it's built into and not on top of. You don't really even notice it until you go look for it. It's a nice little subdivision. So that's, when we get into this conversation of we've got to plan, we got to increase the density, and we have to do this, or the world's going to end. It's not. I mean, right now, well, all we're trying to accomplish is the guys coming in and doing all the tract homes, and that's got to stop and slow down. And I think that's what we're doing.
I think one thing to keep in mind there, Roy, though, is there is clearly line of sight to increase in sprawl, right? And so folks, that instead of spending $750, $800 in a subdivided community, they'll just buy 5 acres of land, and you start to consume your land way faster than your population grows. The other side of that coin as well is lawsuits based on if someone calls this zoning, right? There's limitations there that we might bump up against. But for my purposes, matching what's already there, and understanding because I misinterpreted where the yellow came from. That cause I thought you guys had considered the usage in the Easley area there, or in the municipalities. At the end of the day, the reason why we're putting in there for the planning commission to be responsive to this and review it on an annual basis is so that if we start to see an uptick in sprawl, the GIS folks should start to see that, hey, it's a trigger point you guys told us to be cognizant of, right? You warned us. And in the event that you start to see it, whether or not we're right now or not, then it'll be done to the planning commission and say, hey, this is what we're seeing, and we need to kind of pull some triggers here. And by the time that happens, let's say it's a year, 2, 3 down the road, we'll either already have a countywide planning commission, or we will already been categorically told no, and then we'll just have to ask again and again until we get it. So to me personally, right, because you guys did an incredible amount of work. I mean, it's remarkable what you guys accomplished. I'm not saying I don't like it. What I'm saying is, if we're looking at just long-term risk, what is a SWOT analysis, we do not control what's going on in the cities, and they're going to annex. So the best that we can do is give ourselves room to back away from, and that's slightly less dense than what Ms. Linville was promoting for the Clemson area and the Easley area that I represent.
Other conversation, other discussion. Madam Clerk, you have all the motions in order, right? Perfect. Hearing no other conversation, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Opposed? That's all unanimous. Can't see everybody with this current layout. The other thing, I think that was the one big thing from our last meeting.
Racetrack.
The last one is racetrack, and we had asked the team if they would come back to us on language on that or information on that. Do you have anything? I know it's only been a week. Like legit, no, it has only been a week. That wasn't smart, sarcastic. It's only been a week. It's been only a week, so if you don't understand.
Mr. Hendricks researched that.
I've actually
That's done
wrote
good.
you a proposed amendment, and I'm gonna pass it around and make sure I got it up for you. And for transparency, what I did is I looked at the present Pickens County ordinance and the present Anderson County ordinance, which I think was very close to what you were talking about. They're attached there as a proposed amendment. It's on the front page, and the Pickens and Anderson amendments as they are now are on the second page, so you can see those. So I combined the two so that basically what we're doing, Dr. Wilson, is making sure that hay rides and ATV and agritourism is not prohibited by this ordinance, but racetracks are. So I kept the standards that were already in the UDSO. You can't be 2,500 feet from a residence. Anderson's was a mile. So I didn't use theirs, and just used, changed their language just a little bit so that it reflected the council's discussion.
I move that we adopt the language as written.
I second that. Discussion?
I just want to say, would you guys all close your eyes right now? Close your mind. And just imagine riding in the back of a trailer. Guy my size comes running out with a chainsaw. That's just good family entertainment. Right? And right now that's illegal in our county. So I'd love to pass, hanging some snakes from the trees too. We got a whole plan for this thing. Once it's
Spiders, don't forget the spiders.
Oh man, don't even talk to me about that.
Ms. Noble?
I'm gonna show my city stripes here. What's the definition of a test track?
I think it is a test track where you test your race car.
Michelin has test tracks for their tires. It's like a racetrack, but they're not racing, they're just driving around really fast.
Oh, they aren't racing. You got to ride one of those cars one day.
Okay, thank you.
Other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Nays unanimous. Anything else we need to discuss tonight following last week's meeting?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Sam.
I would like the staff to think about this. When you look at the minimum lot sizes that you have, for 1 acre, it's 50 feet, sorry, lot width, it's 50 feet wide. So that means somebody could build a 50-foot wide track that's 800 feet deep. So half an acre is 30 minimum. They can build 750 feet deep. Now what happened on Stevens Road, which just got approved, is they were 60 feet wide. They're back 450. They wanted to actually do less, and under this ordinance, they could have done less, right? They could have gone 30 feet wide, but they were told, you better do more. But under the law was on their side because the law is so narrow at 30 feet. So my point is, there needs to be, like when you look at the cities, there's a ratio between the width. What happened on Stevens Road, in my opinion, is he didn't want to build a new road. So what he did is he made the lots real narrow to put a lot of houses on the front of the road. But to say they're all like an acre or a half acre or whatever, he built them way far back. That's not really what should happen there is they should cut a road in, so those lots are more square. Now, that's something you need to think about. There needs to be a ratio. When you look at the city of Pickens, it's about 2 to 3 to 1. So if it's 100, so let's say if it's half an acre, it's going to be like 100 by 200. That's going to force them to widen out that front. Does that make sense to you? And then the other thing is when you have developers come in, and Henry talked about this last time, but I really want to save it now that we're done with that. Is a developer comes in and he builds, let's say he's required a half acre. And he does a 30 by 715. He's only got to be 20 feet in. He's not going to put that house in the middle like a one-off person would. I would. But somebody, a developer, isn't going to lay all that concrete for the long driveway and the sidewalk for the house. He's going to put it 20 feet at the road. So visualize this. Half an acre is required, 30 feet wide. He don't want to build a new road, so he stacks them all on that road 30 feet, runs it back 700 feet, and puts the house right up on the road because he didn't want to lay the concrete, put the house in the middle. So my point is the widths need to be widened. I would say no more than a 1 to 3 ratio, front, width to back, 1 to 3 is my opinion. And then what he talked about, there needs to be a minimum, you gotta push them back a little bit further than. Because they'll be right, that's what, when you look at, Anna Circle, he's agreeing with me. Anna Circle, that's a 40 by 120, those houses are right up on the street. Those backyards are real big. Why? Because you don't want to build that long driveway, which is concrete. You don't want to build that long road up to the house if it's 50 feet back, which is the middle of the lot, which I would do individually, but as a developer, he ain't gonna do.
Right.
So can you explain to me why it's bad for a house to be up near the road?
Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to create, if lot size is a certain size, the setbacks will take care of themselves normally.
Right.
All right? But with a developer, they don't. Because he then has to lay the concrete to the middle of the lot. He ain't gonna do that.
No, right, I understand why you want to be, why are you saying that's bad?
Because generally, when we want bigger lots, so that houses are spread apart, the density isn't as high.
Who's we? You just said we want bigger lots. There's plenty of people who would like to have their houses next to each other because they don't want to take care of lawns, because they like Charleston style homes.
Okay,
Because
I'll
they like,
restate, in my district.
okay.
Okay. And what happened up on Stevens Road was, there was two things that happened bad. One is he put things right up on the road. He didn't want to cut a road in to square the lots off and get the 14 lots that he had, or 20 lots. He just said, I'll make them real thin because I can, and he just did this down the road. And Ken says it's driveway after driveway after driveway. That's what will happen with these minimum widths.
That's the sprawl that you're gonna get, and they're gonna wanna condense, and they're doing that up there, near the, I was on their board, and I can't remember the name of it, behind the stockade at the,
That's what it's called.
at
Stevens
Walnut.
Road, that's what I'm talking about.
So the other side of that, and I don't know if he's here or not, but the 40 feet that we were looking for. So in the same thing, they can be within 20 feet of the road, now you don't have parking in the front of it, and you're blocking your driveway. I do respect that. I was categorically clear. I thought I made a mistake by adding 40 feet for everything, because when you, like you said, when you have a bigger lot, you can put your driveway anywhere you want to. But in a case where they're that close to the road and, the driveway is not like, minimal requirement, that's a problem. I was made to understand that all the things I accepted from that was a bigger problem than trying to fix that one. But are these not the kind of things these guys can fix over time?
So that's been the spirit, Vice Chairman.
Yeah, all I was gonna say, so for me, the problem is driveway, like that, the way that that's designed onto a main road. Now you are going to create a traffic jam.
But we're just requiring them to have open space? Like that's all, we just are in the process of passing 20% open space, which means that the houses are supposed to be all right next to each other.
Not on Stevens Road, not for that type of development.
Well, then that's protected by the UDF, like, that's the whole thing with open space subdivisions, is you put the houses closer to each other so that there's more protected space and more big space elsewhere, and now you're saying you want to tell the developers that they can't put houses next to each other.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I was talking about the driveway. Driveway after driveway, like that, going onto a main road, is going to cause horrible congestion.
He should have cut a road in there.
Right.
And he didn't want to pay. I don't want to put words in this guy's mouth. Anybody looks at that subdivision and says that guy should have cut a road.
Is that in our jurisdiction to tell people where they have to have roads?
Well,
If you lengthen the width of the lots, they'll be forced to do that.
the other thing is with the setbacks, if we could increase the setbacks, we could create, one of the things we looked at, part of the open space is to put a ring around the property, and with one road going in for an open space subdivision, not for somebody's lot. You do something like that, then there's only one road that goes in, they can be as packed in there as you want them to, based on what the open space requirements are. Count the ring around the property as part of the open space if you want to. I mean, there's lots of different, but we're not those things aren't in place, we haven't voted on those yet. I personally would like to see 30 yards around.
Let's be focused back on what we talked about before. Folks asked us to overdevelopment and sprawl. We clearly are taking pretty strong action here to control the growth of subdivisions. There's going to be workarounds. I mean, there's inventive people doing this stuff for a living every day, right? They're going to do the multiple driveways to get their acreage in. At the end of the day, there's going to be a pressure on you folks to help bring that to our attention through the planning commission, and then we take action on that as we identify solutions for it, right? I mean, we're not fixing the whole world's problems here today. The biggest thing we're doing is adding tiny house stuff, RV stuff, and we're trying to address the explosive growth of subdivisions.
Any other discussion on what we talked about, Vice Chairman?
No, the only thing that you had said, if there's anything else, did we figure out what to do about, I mean, because I get what they were talking about, people parking on the street. Did we figure out something with that,
We,
or?
we went with the staff's recommendation for the setback, specifically because they had workshopped it, and they did the options for all sorts of other ways to park. And let's be blunt, what brought all of our attention to it was Linhart Grove, and it's train wreck, but it was principally designed under the standards for the city and approved, and, you know, in a Wild West kind of style. You know, I doubt that we don't have any kind of developments of that similar character in the county, do we? Any
Not that I
proposed?
know
None proposed? Right, and our planning commission has been a little activist with respect to asking people not to do stupid stuff.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
You know, and then over time, we have the ability to fix that. He had some on the front end, don't do stupid stuff, and the planning commission sends them back, right? So, and if it's an issue, this is why it's a living document, like I said. It's not ideal, I don't think this is perfection, right? Because perfection's not even on the table.
So we've got the motions that we've made, we've cleaned up the motions from last week. Just want to remind everybody, third reading, is going to be next week. That gives you a week will be scheduled for next week. That gives you a week to mull over the changes that we made tonight. Were you trying to get my attention?
No, I was just wondering, Mr. Chairman, would we need to?
Go ahead and make a motion.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, procedurally, that's just what I asked him, I said, do we?
I jumped the gun, I apologize.
Well, we made a motion after the last meeting to move it out for third reading.
But then y'all stopped it.
We stopped it.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Okay, so the motion on all the proposals thus far from the multiple meetings being moved forward for third reading.
I'll second that motion. Discussion on the motion.
Yes, we just gave staff a new map. If we're going to third reading, we need to make that map public again for
Soon as
consideration. So could you give me an idea of when that map would be available, how we get it out to the public? Because we spent all last week, put it in the library, she published all that, we just changed it again. I'd like to give several days.
We'll have it everywhere we have it now in 48 hours.
And then we're talking about adding this to the special call meeting on December 11th? Is that what you're proposing?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Okay.
I was asking to see if we need to have another special call meeting for the reading.
Right.
I know that we're up on another week now. Christmas season, kids are out.
We already have a meeting on December 18th, don't we?
No, we're meeting next week because school is out and people are traveling that third week.
Oh, I have a committee of the whole meeting.
We have a meeting scheduled for the boards and commissions, right?
On December 11th.
That's December 11th.
That's true.
I would push the 18th myself.
Because the 18th.
I would, and let me just tell you why I would do that. I really would want to address the width of lots. I mean, I think you really need to look at that. Because that can, like I said, when you look in easily, that's really what the problem is, the width and the depth. And then also, I think I asked a question about the traffic study, where we were on that, what was going to happen there. Remember I said, how many houses? What's 500 visits, 500 trips, things like that, but it's up to you.
I wasn't picking a date. Chairman was setting the date.
Oh, the other thing is everybody sure and confident that the vote last time for heritage was half-acre minimum for homes?
It was for leave the UDSO as is, for natural heritage or agricultural heritage?
Well, they were all three, right? All three were voted on at once. And I saw it the way you did myself.
No, they weren't.
No?
No, they were not voted on at once. Two were voted on and then the bottom three were voted on.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Those three I'm talking about, heritage,
It
Appalachian.
was Appalachian, Ag,
Appalachian and ag were voted on separately.
Woodland, Gathering, Community, and Natural all voted on separately.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so what I remembered was the agriculture and the Appalachian was voted on and taken off the matrix. And then they went over to the sheet and voted on the other three.
What was the motion made there, Ms. Nations? Do you have that?
Yes. Councilman Wilson made a motion to adopt the Appalachian Heritage and Agricultural Heritage of Matrix as is. Motion was seconded by Councilman Seda. Councilman Wilson made an amended motion to adopt the Appalachian Heritage and Agricultural Heritage of Matrix, not including the stormwater and impact fee columns. Is that what you're talking about?
The next one, which will be natural and gateway.
And then the next one was Chairman Bowers made a motion to adopt the Natural Heritage Area, Community Center Area, and Gateway Corridor Area on the Matrix. Councilman Wilson made a substitute motion to adopt the Natural Heritage Area, Community Center Area, and Gateway Corridor Area on the Matrix with the document received in this evening's packet. And then Chairman Bowers made an amended motion to change the Gateway Corridor Area, multifamily and mixed use, what we're talking about. Mixed use building type from 5 stories to 3 stories.
But that was dropped later.
Right.
So but my question is, the motion was for 3 areas, the natural heritage, community center, and gateway, and leave the DSO as is. That's what I heard. Did you hear that? Anybody else hear that?
It actually says under natural heritage area, leave the UDSO as is.
And that's what I heard.
But then under it, open space subdivisions have a half-acre minimum lot size at 40% open space.
Now, that's what they handed us this week. We had, that night was this, which didn't say that. That's why I questioned.
I don't have anything they gave us this week. Everything in my packet is from last week and older, and that's literally what I was going off of.
Okay, so just tell me what you voted on, that's all. What we voted on that night.
Whatever
Which
was
sheet
in the documentation.
You're trying to make sure that natural heritage is
A half acre. Because if it goes back to the
Not
DSO, it's
5,000.
5,000. And what I had in my hand that night was this and never said that. But that's fine, we can just change it now, I just wanna make sure it's real.
Mr. Chairman, we questioned the same thing, and I think where we landed is it's a half acre minimum because it says that.
Yes, because it was the document and the document.
Right.
Yeah.
The night of, because I was, I had written down something stupid on my notes or whatever, and we clarified that it was half, and then it was the other 2 spaces there, but let's just make it simple. A motion to make the natural heritage area half-acre minimum lot size.
We're already in a motion.
We're already in motion.
So you need to amend your
To
motion.
amend, I'd like to make an amendment to the motion that we have currently standing to include a provision that would make the natural heritage area a minimum half-acre.
I'll second that.
All right, discussion on that. Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Opposed? The original motion on the table is to send it out for 3rd reading for a date to be determined based on when we can get information back from the community. We don't have to set a date on that right now, so. Any discussion over that? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. That is unanimous. So having a motion to adjourn so that we can go to our regular meeting. Second. All those